27th meeting of the Beaufort County North Regional Plan Implementation Committee to order, and please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I don't hear anything.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We got a little technical glitch here.
It's communications from outer space.
Oh, I don't have those. I gotta go somewhere else to get.
It must be your speakers on and that speaker's on, Rob.
Yeah, that's what's. Should we try it now? I have an echo.
Is your mic on yours?
I turned it on.
You're getting feedback too.
So you're able to control the executive conference as well as the.
It couldn't that be the.
Hey, Rob, the video shows in two executive conference rooms. You may have a dual line there.
Okay. We'll have one now.
Rob, go to the left, see what other, if it comes up again, you turn one of them off. So we got your Rob Merchant there.
Let me try this.
Yeah, use that one. There you go. Did that do it?
Can you all hear us?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, we had a executive conference room and this and the camera, so I think we got it figured out.
Okay, great. Why don't we go around and introduce ourselves. We'll start here in this room, and then we'll go to people that are online. So, Alice.
Okay, Alice Howard, District 4, Beaufort County Council.
We're just gonna go regardless of membership.
Pardon?
We'll just go around the room.
Yeah.
Did you get your delay worked out?
Yes, I believe we did.
Very good.
Robert Merchant, Acting Director for the County Planning and Zoning Department.
Jenny Kozak, former Director of Planning and Transportation for Low Country Council Governments in LATS, and currently a consultant doing some consulting work on the Department of Defense MER study. And I'm also on the County Transportation Committee for District 4. And what else am I?
Yoga
representing?
teacher.
Yoga teacher. And I'm also on the board of directors of the Beaufort Historical Museum, the Beaufort History Museum. So that's why I'm here, all these different things.
And you have two media people. I'm Lolita Huckabee Watson, and I'm here as a concerned citizen.
I'm Suzanne Larson with Low Country Inside Track.
Dave Pritchard, Director of Community and Economic Development for the City of Beaufort.
And I'm Mike Tomey with the MPC. And let's go to people online.
Gerald Dawson, Beaufort County Council Representative, District 1.
Are you vacationing somewhere?
That's his backyard.
Van Willis, Town Port Royal.
Ed Pappas, Beaufort County Planning Commission.
Jennifer Bragg, J. Bragg Consulting, representing Beaufort County on the sales tax program.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it. Let's move forward with the agenda. I know all the FOIA notifications have gone out. I asked for modifications or approval of the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. I was there.
Ed, would you like to second, or somebody that's...
Well, I wasn't at the May meeting, so it's kind of hard for me to approve them. But if you need a second, I'll be glad to second.
I was there, yeah.
Have a motion and a second. Well, we don't have a quorum, I guess. Is that right?
That's correct.
So maybe we'll just move these minutes to the next meeting.
I'll rescind my motion.
Okay, thank you, Alice.
I rescind my second.
Thank you. Thank you. I think today what we'll do is definitely have our presentations. I think they're really important to hear those out. And then we'll, when we get later on in the agenda, I'll just ask if anybody wants to have any discussion on the discussion items that we have usually on the agenda. If anybody has something they want to input to that, other than that, we'll just move forward to the next meeting. I really want to have everybody try and encourage everybody to come to the next meeting. I think it's going to be really important that everybody shows up, that we do have a quorum. We've missed the quorum now 3 times in a row. And I know everybody's on vacation and other things, but this is an extremely important committee that I think needs to have a quorum so that we can move agenda items forward and bring other things to the table. I know that there's other things that I would like to bring to the table in future meetings, as well as I know other people would too. So with that being said, I guess ask for citizen comments if anybody has comments. Citizen? And we don't have anybody listening online, or are you?
Yeah.
Okay. Closing citizen comments then. We'll go to presentation. Sales tax program update. Jennifer, I've missed you for a couple of months here, but or at least 1 month. Be interesting to see how things are going.
Well, with sales tax and transportation projects, they tend to go slower than everybody likes, but I'm going to share my screen if that's all right.
Yes, please.
I think that's it. Okay, can you see my screen? I've got a PowerPoint presentation.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, good morning, and again, thank you for the opportunity. Brittany normally tag teams this with me. She's obviously with the county. And sorry, I actually have a puppy in the background who you just heard bark, and hopefully he will not be too rambunctious. But we'll jump into this just to give you a little bit of the history of the program. I think everybody's aware of the overall program, but it actually started back in 2017 from the standpoint of a study was performed on Ladies Island that looked at the overall corridor of Ladies Island, and it developed 9 projects, but there was no funding. So the county took a proactive step with 2 things. One, they jump-started the design for the Sam's Point right turn lane in the summer of 2018 ahead of the sales tax program. Obviously, what was that? Oh, okay. The sales tax program passed in November of 2018, and collections began in 2019. So after the collections began, a few things took place. There was a community meeting on the Sunset Boulevard Miller Drive West in June of 2019. The county also had some other conceptual designs performed for the Beaufort High School Access Realignment, and held a public meeting in person in January of 2020. And of course, that was just before COVID pandemic started here. So also in January 2020, the county had previously selected a consultant team for the sidewalks and multi-use path projects, and that contract was issued in January 2020, which prompted them to start. So from there, how did I get involved? The county in spring of 2020 put out an RFQ for a program and construction management team. They also issued a small purchase contract for the airport frontage road. And at the same time, because the original study at this point was 3 years old, they went back to the original team and asked them to do a corridor study update, just update the traffic and also look at another option for the Beaufort High School access realignment. So in fall of 2020, they actually put out 2 RFQs, and we went through the negotiations to select 2 design teams. One is for the Ladies Island access roads, and the other one was for the corridor in Beaufort High School. But while that was going on, the selection of that was taking place, there was a virtual public meeting for the Sidewalks and Multi-Use Pathways project. Originally, these meetings were supposed to be in person, but because of COVID, everybody revamped, and we actually had a 30-day public meeting in October and into November. The county also had another consultant develop a website specifically devoted to all the penny sales tax projects. So we're able to get the information out on this penny website. If you haven't been to it, I'm going to show you a brief overview of it in a minute. So then what we did is, because COVID was still ongoing, we actually held a Ladies Island Access virtual public meeting, and that entailed projects out of the original 9. Sam's Point Turn Lane construction began in January of this year. Then likewise, we turned around and we held a US 21 SC 802 corridor improvement public meeting in February. Both of those meetings ran for around 30 days each. They were virtual. We did town halls. We had a one night where Jared Fralix and I both presented, and that was recorded and actually placed on the website for the virtual public meetings. So in March of this year, we actually issued notice to proceed to the 2 design teams, one for the access roads and then one for the mainline corridor in Beaufort High School. So of course, everybody's thrilled. Sam's Point right turn lane is now open. It opened in June, so that should see some benefit at that intersection. And the other thing we're doing is, because the program is fiscally constrained, we've got $30 million for the 9 projects on Ladies Island, and we only have $10 million for the sidewalks and multi-use pathways. We're trying to look for other funding sources. So with this, we actually submitted a raised grant application in July. We're waiting to hear. They won't make the decision until later this year. I think it's October, November timeframes when they'll make the selection. Fingers crossed. We're actually requesting a $25 million raised grant application, and that would be specifically applied to the mainline corridor improvements, which are the US 21 and SB 802 projects. So let's look at the overall Ladies Island corridor traffic improvements. As I mentioned, it involved 9 projects, and this is a map of the 9 projects. The color coding, sorry, you're hearing my puppy and his squeaky toy. So we've got, with the Ladies Island, again, it involved 9 projects for $30 million. Sam's Point right turn lane is here at the corner where Walgreens, it's constructed, so that's why it's in green. And it was broken out separately and started ahead of the sales tax program and finished with the sales tax program. What we refer to as the access roads are everything shown in this bluish purple color. We've got Sunset Boulevard to Miller Drive West, Mayfair Court Extension, Ladies Island Middle School Access Road. This is Hazel Farm and Gay Drive. We also have Metabrook Drive Extension, Airport Frontage Road, and then Beaufort High School Access Realignment with intersection improvements at Yeomans and Meridian as part of that. The corridor improvement, of course, is shown in red, and it's going from near the Woods Memorial Bridge out to the Chowan Creek Bridge, and then from Rue de Bois up to Miller Drive West on Ladies Island Drive and Sam's Point Road. So where are we in the process with these projects? Preliminary design is starting on all of them, and this is where you want to speed things up and at the same time things slow down a little bit. Trying to do the due diligence just because you don't see the work taking place. But preliminary plans have been submitted on Hazel Farm and Gay Drive. The design team has been working on those. We've had a lot of coordination on the Beaufort High School access realignment, not only with the school district, but also with SCDOT. We just presented some conceptual preliminary design to SCDOT for the improvements here. Ladies Island Middle School Access Road, we've had a lot of coordination on it as well with the school district and SCDOT. Originally, if you go back to the virtual public meetings, you're going to see we actually proposed two different options on it, but this is the one that was selected. Sunset Boulevard and Miller Drive West, surveys and utility coordination have started, and we should be getting preliminary design plans on this also. Metabrook Drive extension, we're actually at preliminary right-of-way plans. And so this one is being coordinated also with SCDOT, so SCDOT now has those plans to review. If they approve the plans, then we will coordinate with the property owners to acquire the necessary right-of-way for it. Airport Frontage Road. Airport Frontage Road was actually separated into two contracts, or two phases rather. Phase one is from the US 21 intersection to Lost Island Road or Drive. This one was actually started through a small purchase contract. We are at final construction plans on it, and that is being coordinated with DOT also because, of course, they own the intersection that we're tying into. This one has had significant coordination also with the city of Beaufort. Phase two will be a much longer process just because of the permitting involved with it to make the connection over to Little Creek. And then Mayfair Court Extension. Mayfair Court Extension right now is on hold. The reason why it is on hold is coming out of the virtual public meeting. There was a lot of public comments on it about the connection to William Street. William Street is actually a private road, and so a lot of the community in here did not want that connection made. So right now it is on hold, and we're just going to see long term if it truly needs to move forward or if there's some other things that can be done. So with the overall corridor improvement, again, it's also entered preliminary design, but this one has a lot of survey and utility coordination work to be done. So surveys are in process, and they are still ongoing and will be ongoing into September. There's been delays with the survey company from the standpoint of we've had a lot of rain this summer, and of course when it rains, they're not out there. So that's delayed them getting some of this done. So you will see survey crews out here on these corridors getting the information for the design team. So where are we as far as the typical sections? So on the US 21 SC802 corridor improvements, with the virtual public meeting, we presented quite a few options for the corridor from the Woods Memorial Bridge to Sam's Point Road intersection. We actually showed two different concepts here. One, retaining the existing travel lanes the way they are with other modifications, or actually widening. Because there was no definitive solution coming out of the virtual public meeting, we had additional coordination with the city. We've had coordination also with SCDOT. SCDOT, they came back and they said, and also with the town of Port Royal, because whatever takes place here also, because the other bridge goes into the town of Port Royal, can affect them as well. So moving forward, we are retaining the existing. We're not going to truly just come in and widen from the Woods Memorial Bridge up to Sam's Point Road intersection. We are moving with the existing roadway width. We will incorporate access management standards as needed within the corridor. And the other thing is we are, right now the 5-foot sidewalks are directly behind the curb and gutter. Those will be removed and we will put in grass strips or other planted areas, and then new 10-foot multi-use paths outside. So on Ladies Island, one thing we've witnessed and we've learned coming out of the public meeting is there are two types of bicyclists. You've got the hardcore road cyclists. They're going to be in the road regardless. They want those improvements to remain. But then you've got the recreational users, the parents with the children, or there are people in general that need to ride, but they're not comfortable being in the roadway with traffic. That's where the multi-use paths come into play. So we are going to put in the 10-foot multi-use paths within this corridor and other streetscaping improvements. Likewise, for the other two corridors, you've got Sea Island Parkway from the intersection going east, Ladies Island Drive. Both of those actually already have bike lanes in the roadway. We're going again to retain those and incorporate landscaped medians as needed to help with the access management standards. Also remove the 5-foot sidewalks and again put in the multi-use paths. SC 802 Sam's Point does not have existing bike lanes in the roadway. We are going to look at the possibility of what can we do to add them while not having to just completely reconstruct all the curb and gutter and drainage that is there now to do it. There is guidance from SCDOT and others on how that can be done, and we will look into that to see what we can do, because a lot of comments came in about adding actual bike lanes in the roadway for those hardcore users. But again, we will keep multi-use paths on the outside for everybody to use. So again, with this, we're looking at access management standards, improved pedestrian and bicycle facilities, intersection improvements. There will be intersection improvements, and we will continue to coordinate on the overall intersection improvement for Sam's Point intersection. That is still to be determined as we move forward to design on what we're going to do specifically at that intersection. For the access roads, all of these will be 2-lane streetscaping improvements. Metabrook Drive, though, we are not, because it really is only serving a couple of properties, we're not putting in the shared use paths or the sidewalk, just because it truly is about a 600 linear foot road serving 2 to 3 properties in there for connectivity once the mainline corridor improvements. But everywhere else, your Beaufort High School, Hazel Farm Gay, Ladies Island Middle School, Sunset Boulevard, Miller Drive West. We're looking at, and Airport Frontage Road, we're looking at putting in bicycle and pedestrian accommodations. Airport Frontage Road, we're only doing a shared use path on one side for connectivity. But these other ones, we're looking at a shared use path on one side and at least a 5-foot sidewalk on the other. And that gives connectivity where if the shared use path gets really congested with more bicyclists on it, gives an opportunity for pedestrians to go to the other side of the street and actually just walk without the bicyclists. This typical section also works when you're looking at trying to coordinate with, saving trees where possible, putting in other streetscaping elements as needed, and lighting. So then the other project we're managing are sidewalks and multi-use pathways projects. This one category is fiscally constrained at $10 million. It originally, if you look at the ballot question, it involved 24 projects with 31 roads. So moving forward, the county recognized they really didn't have enough money to do all the projects. So they started off with 14 priority projects involving 18 roads. But what most people do not realize is we went to a virtual public meeting with those, but coming out of that, the original contract for final design actually only involved 6 projects involving 7 roads for final design. After the first virtual public meeting, there were some things that came out of it with public comments where we actually shifted the focus of some of the final design projects based upon the public comments. And what I mean by that is Burnt Church Road, which was not part of the original priority list for final design. What we decided to do was pull it out of the program. And the reason why is on the impact fee list, Burnt Church Road was also slated to be improved, the roadway itself widened. So the county actually decided to combine the pathway with the road widening because it was hard to do the pathway without the road, without having to build it and redo it at a later date, because it's hard to design a road widening and not have impacts to other infrastructure. That is actually being expedited. The county actually has issued an RFQ for Burnt Church Road widening to include the pathways. So that one will be done outside of the program, funded through other resources. Another project that, what's that? Oh, I thought there was a question. So the other, excuse me, the other thing we looked at was some other public comments that we had. And so we looked at a shuffle there on a couple of projects as well to get those. But where are we in the process with the sidewalks and multi-use paths? Right now, right-of-way acquisition has taken place on Revo Road sidewalk. This project provides connection from Lenora Park on Revo Road up to the existing 5-foot sidewalk. And then it will also provide connectivity because there's another project outside of the program, which is a Spanish Moss Trail extension that this sidewalk will connect to. Bluffton Parkway pathway is the remaining about 600 linear feet on Bluffton Parkway near the roundabout. Right now, people on one side, they'll get so far, and then they actually have to cross it so they can drive. So this allows someone, or they're walking on the shoulder grass and trees to get up to the roundabout. So this connection will be the final piece all the way up to the roundabout, where if somebody wants to stay on the same side of the road, they do not have to cross. So the right-of-way acquisition is in process on it. Revo Road is in the town of Port Royal. We've had coordination with them. And we have also submitted for an SCDOT encroachment permit. So once that encroachment permit is approved, and we're very close on it, that project will actually be let for construction. Bluffton Parkway actually had a meeting on site with one of the property owners yesterday, so hopefully in the next month we can wrap up the right-of-way on it and get this one moving forward also for final construction, because the plans are ready, just pending the right-of-way acquisition. Some other things we are doing is looking for other funding. So one of the things the county did with the city prior to this program was the city is the applicant for a CDBG fund. So we've got $200,000 in grant funds on it. Friends of the Spanish Moss Trail are contributing to this project. So this is the Depot Road pathway. It's also been called as a downtown connector from the Spanish Moss Trail into the city of Beaufort. So we've got 3 funding sources for this one project. And so Depot Road will go from the Spanish Moss Trail up to Rebo Road for right now. It is a proposed 10-foot shared use path. So a couple things I wanted to show you. Several people know about this, but if you have not been to it, there is a, pull this off. Like I said, the county had a sales tax website prepared that we are keeping updated. And you can actually come out here and look at all the projects. Again, 278 is in the program, but we are not managing it. SCDOT is managing that project. The county is contributing funding. But these are all of the projects. So you can actually click on these, get updates on where we stand on the various projects. Right now, these are the pathway projects that are, and sidewalk projects that are in design or getting ready to proceed to construction. And we will, because this had limited funds, we are continuing to look for other funding sources. We're actually getting ready to work on a CDBG grant for another project on this list, because the more funds we can bring to the program will allow us to do more projects. There is an interactive project map that you can go and look and see all the project locations, if it will pull up, and it may not. I've got a lot, and it may not pull up. So the other thing, meetings, all the current and past virtual public meetings that have taken place are hosted on the site. The information, even though meetings have been closed, all of the original information that was presented is still here. And we went back to a couple of other meetings prior to us. So again, we've got the tally sheet from the first Sunset Boulevard community meeting, and even the Beaufort High School Access Realignment, where they proposed some other alternatives out here. The resources page, we do issue monthly reports. So we will be, July's will be out here soon, and then we'll turn around and work on August. But we've got the original ballot question, ordinance, the pathways resolution that first established the priorities, other reports, the original Ladies Island corridor, various things. The other thing to note is all the sidewalks and multi-use paths, as well as the Ladies Island corridor projects, are governed through an intergovernmental agreement with SCDOT. So we are keeping them in the loop, because the majority of those projects are located on their roadways or have some connection to them. Excuse me. And then we've got a frequently asked questions page that has some brief information, as well as just a general contact where people can submit information, or they can also join, because periodically we'll put out an email blast with penny updates on it. So with that, I will turn it over. If anyone has any questions, just let me know.
Thank you, Jennifer. Can you send out a copy of your presentation to the board here?
Yes.
Okay, I appreciate that. Also, I had a couple of questions. One of the things I want to hopefully get you to do is come to our next Village Center Task Force meeting next month. I'm hoping to get a quorum on from the task force there at that meeting also, and I'm sure that there's a lot of discussion that we could have at that. If does that look possible according to your schedule now?
Yes, I've got your invite on my calendar, so at that time slot's reserved.
Thank you very much. I had one question. Do you have a building setback? I couldn't see it from where I'm sitting on the screen. Do you have a building setback from the multi-use path?
So on the setbacks, no, we don't. And that's where we would look to, depending upon the property owner, and working, sometimes I know a lot of entities would prefer for the right-of-way maybe to be set a foot or two behind. In this case, with a shared use path, at least 2 feet, you're required to have a 2-foot shoulder. And then where we need slopes to tie in, try and go after what's referred to as slope permissions. This allows more availability, but as far as the building setbacks, that really gets back into planning and zoning. The other thing is if someone will not sign for permissions behind, then you're actually setting the right-of-way out to this location, wherever your tie-in is. So that would be something where hopefully we can have a seamless right-of-way, through the corridor, but sometimes that's where you do see a lot of transitions. And that also controls what you're looking for, as far as the future redevelopment of the corridor.
Okay, good. So we'll have to address that in our planning and zoning for that corridor. The last question I had was on the Jericho Road intersection with 21. Or I'm sorry, am I thinking the wrong?
Does this map help?
It's on Ladies Island?
Yeah. And the roadway intersection with 21, which connects up back through the backside of the school property.
The high school or the middle school?
High school.
Readable.
No. Connects up.
Yeoman's Road?
Yeoman's, that's what I'm trying to think of. I always forget that. Do you have anything right now planned for that intersection more than just the current intersection width that's there now?
So you're talking about where my cursor is, where the realignment comes in?
Yeah.
Okay. So what we showed to SCDOT, so Beaufort High School access realignment will come here. We actually have a roundabout proposed for this intersection. On Yeoman's itself, for connectivity, we really aren't doing a whole lot to Yeoman's for improvements, but we are including a shared use path or a multi-use path on the high school side down to Meridian. Meridian is one of the sidewalks and multi-use pathways projects. So within our project limits for Beaufort High School, with the intersection improvement that is required at Meridian and Yeoman's, we will at least build the pathway as part of ours. It will just right now be a pathway to nowhere while we look for additional funding for the pathway improvement on Meridian from Sea Island all the way to Ladies Island.
Okay.
So we'll connectivity here.
Yeah,
And then
that's good.
likewise, to get back to the school's front entrance, we are building connectivity from this point and improving the existing dirt road portion and doing an extension to make a connection all the way back up to the front entrance of the school from this point. And we will have pathway connectivity also along the existing entrance here all the way down and tying in.
Okay, that's good. That's great. Then what about the intersection of Yeoman's to 21?
Bless you.
So right here, that actually is, so this portion of Yeoman's is not included with the high school access realignment. The overall corridor improvement will have, intersection improvements with any of the intersections along the roadway.
Okay.
So we will do some, like where Beaufort High School and Hazel Farm connect, we will have intermediate intersection improvements that we need right now to make these truly operational, but the overall corridor project will do the final intersection improvements with the access management standards.
Okay, all right, thank you. We'll probably cover a little more of that with the task force. Other questions?
I had, at the Hazel Farm Road in Yeomans, will there be a light on 21?
So the proposed traffic signals, yes, there is a signal proposed for the new Beaufort High School Hazel Farm intersection. There's a new signal proposed for Ladies Island Middle School and Hazel Farm Gay.
Okay.
This is an existing intersection, an existing signal that will be modified. There is a signal proposed here at Miller Drive West and Sam's Point. Whitehall is shown, the Whitehall development. If you look at their traffic impact analysis, they are showing that long-term with their development, a signal is needed for their development. So the existing signal at Beaufort High School on Sea Island Parkway, the business portion, will be removed. The existing Beaufort High School intersection will become right in, right out.
Okay.
The question is, where should another signal be located? And the reason, why do we need another signal? Twofold. With all the pedestrian improvements in this corridor, if you only have a signal at the main intersection and a signal down here, then you really don't have the cross connectivity that is needed between this stretch, not only for traffic, but for pedestrians. Realistically, the best location would be Sunset Boulevard and Miller Drive West, but there's been a lot of public comments from this community in here about a signal proposed and their thoughts of increased traffic coming into their community and using this as a cut through. So right now we've just left it open as to whether a signal would be located at Sunset or potentially the existing Yeomans intersection at 21. But now that's, now we're getting a little bit closer to the main intersection. So that will just need to be.
I had another question regarding the pathways, and this might not be for you, it might be for Rob or someone else. We promised the voters that we were going to do all these pathway projects, and now there's not enough money for it. So we're down to six, I guess, right? 6 projects. Are we going to do some public education about that so people's expectations won't be, and that may not be a question for you, Rob, I'm not sure who, but I think we need to do some kind of public education about that, because the expectations were, we're going to do 24, now we're down to 6, anyway, so.
Yeah.
Good point.
And okay, go ahead.
So with the penny, yes, I mean, we've been doing public education all along, trying to make sure people are aware of what has been taking place and why. Like I said, the resolution that county council put into place is actually on the website also. These are, like I said, these are the pathways that are in either conceptual or preliminary design phases that we're trying to move forward into, true design and final construction. So again, and also looking for additional funding to try and bring to the program. But yes, the pathways truly was underfunded for the number of locations.
Right, yeah, okay.
And one of the things that we're doing, we have the draft bike ped plan, and then also our draft comprehensive plan, we have a 10-year CIP. So I've been working with engineering to make sure that those projects are
That fell out or
in both of
included.
those.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good. Okay, thank you.
Hey, Rob,
Yes.
this is Councilman Dawson. To Alice's point about doing some public education to inform our citizens of the progress and the roads that are being or have been selected for construction as far as the 1 cent sale tax is concerned. As I look at this list, I see there's Stewart Point, which is in my district, is at the bottom of the list. And I certainly hope that we, the county, and the consultants are not actually going in that priority that they're going to pave in the order that's listed here, and then get to the end and find out that we don't have enough funds to get Stewart Point Road done. That would create some chaos and some excited people in our county and in my district that I think we really don't want. We really don't want that to happen. So
These are just listed alphabetically.
But they're not being done in that prioritized order. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. So Stewart Point, we actually just temporarily put it on hold when we found out SCDOT had a resurfacing project. So we've gotten confirmation that that resurfacing project has been completed, and survey crews will be starting next week, I believe, on it.
Okay, that's great. That's great. They have completed the resurfacing, and so that shouldn't be a hindrance.
Right. So no, sir. This isn't by priority. This is literally, they're just listed alphabetically.
All right. Good. Thank you.
Jennifer, this is Mike again. I thought that conversation you just had a few minutes ago about the light at either Sunset or Yeoman's was interesting. I'll probably talk to you at the next meeting about the light potential at Yeoman's. I think that could be important based on the design that we're moving forward with or looking at right now. And the land property owners along 21 seem to be in favor of that Yeoman's because it'll create a secondary road system to the backside of the developments that will happen along 21 at those shopping centers and other areas. So I thought that was interesting with your comments, and we can discuss that more at our Ladies Island meeting in next month.
Sounds good.
Hey, Mike, if I might ask a question. Good morning, everybody. I apologize I was a little late. Jennifer, thanks for a presentation, and I'm sorry if I'm asking a question you might have answered earlier in your presentation. You showed a slide that presented a couple of alternate plans for US 21 business on Sea Island Parkway. One with the sort of the flat flush median, and then a couple with landscape medians, 2 versus 4 travel lanes. And then I think this is also sort of dovetails into the stoplight question. What's kind of the thought about the process to sort of settle and finalize these plans? I mean, from a public standpoint or from a government standpoint, when do we say this is what we're doing and we're moving forward with it?
So we have decided that, and we are moving forward. And so what I had mentioned is we're not changing the actual number of travel lanes within the corridor. So where US 21 business from Woods Memorial Bridge up to the main intersection, the actual travel lanes within that corridor will remain where they are. One of the original things we had presented was true widening as you came off Woods Memorial Bridge, but we are not doing that. So we're looking at streetscape improvements, bicycle and pedestrian improvements, and then where possible, right now pretty much all the corridors have a 15-foot median. Looking at the areas where we incorporate a landscape, removing the pavement and actually putting in a landscaped median and defining the left turn lanes by, taking that 15 feet and putting in, a true 11-foot lane with a concrete island to define them. That is part of the access management standards that will take place throughout the corridor.
And so that's been decided. So most of it will be the flat median, but then the flush median, but then you'll have some raised along the route. Is that
No, right now, all of it has a flush.
right?
So we will take the flush and incorporate the landscape and the left turn lanes.
Okay, but it won't be four solid travel lanes.
So Ladies Island Drive, Sam's Point, and Sea Island Parkway already have 2 travel lanes in each direction.
Right.
That will remain. The business portion of Sea Island will remain as it currently exists, with 1 travel lane in each direction, or where it was already widened to provide, like as you approach Sam's Point intersection, it already has, 2 travel lanes approaching the intersection. That'll remain.
Okay. Yeah, no, I was more concerned with the business from Meridian or from the bridge to 802, because I think we sort of envision that as the Ladies Island sort of downtown village center. And so the more that we can inform that to be sort of walkable and easier for pedestrian crossing, but that goes into that stoplight question. While I'm certainly sensitive to residents of Sunset and their concerns about additional traffic running down their street, we do have 13,000+ residents on Ladies Island that have to go through that corridor. So is from a pedestrian standpoint, but also from a traffic flow, moving a high volume of traffic through, does the engineering analysis say that a stoplight is the best idea at Sunset and Miller?
So that was the original concept that went back to the 2017 study. So what we will have them look at now, based upon information we get from what the village task force is looking at with a redevelopment, is that truly where it needs to go, or in working with them, does it now need to go at Yeoman's? And that will be something that will be looked at. One thing with the way this overall project was set up is now you're ending up also with Quadrant Roadways.
Right.
And so with Beaufort High School being realigned over here, because if you remember, the original study actually showed it just realigning back to 21 Business across from Sunset, which that, from a public standpoint, was not welcomed. So what we looked at was, prior to us, and then once we got involved, looking at various options, but this one actually helps form another quadrant roadway with its location.
No, absolutely. And I'm excited about the Hazel Farm connector to Beaufort High, because I think that takes a tremendous amount of pressure off of the business corridor of 21 there.
Right. So we will look at all of that as we, the access roads are defined now. The overall typical sections for the mainline corridor are defined. As we move, as the design team truly, moves in, they will fine tune, well, how does the main intersection need to look long term? And then again, within this corridor, where should another signal go, Sunset or Yeoman's?
Okay. And I assume Stantec is doing that analysis for us?
Yes, so Stantec is working on the mainline corridors shown in red, and they also have the Beaufort High School access realignment. We have a deployed design team that is looking at Sunset, Mayfair Court Extension, Ladies Island Middle School, Hazel Farm Gay, Metabrook. They've got phase 2 of Airport Frontage Road. If Mayfair Court Extension moves forward, they will have it. And then phase 1, it was done through a small purchase program, and Ward Edward is doing it. And phase 1, Airport Frontage Road from 21 to Lost Island, should go to construction or be advertised for construction later this year and go into construction next year.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you, Jennifer.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Jennifer?
I had just, this is Robert Merchant. I was wondering if you could just bring us up to speed on the Middle Road sidewalk and the Salem Road sidewalk.
So Middle Road, we've looked at preliminary plans on it. We've sent comments back. Once we get those plans back, then we will coordinate with SCDOT on Middle Road. Salem Road, we got in preliminary plans, and we've already looped SCDOT in on it, and I'm trying to get a meeting scheduled with them for Salem Road.
Okay.
Can I ask a question? Just public. This is Lolita Huckabee as a concerned citizen. What is the purpose for the Metabrook Drive extension? Is that to create an alternative frontage road to 21 eventually?
So on US 21, as I mentioned, we're looking at access management standards. So access management truly defines how people turn into properties, and really it's restricting left turn movements. And so there are several properties between Gay Drive and Dow that would be converted to right in, right out. And this road here provides basically it would give them access from the properties in here to Dow, to where they could circle back around to Gay and either go up to the signal at Gay, or if they wanted to come down here and use a farm and come out to Reddings Island.
So is that extension is going to be a new driveway? It's going to be a new roadway?
New roadway.
Is it going to take any houses out through there?
No, ma'am. It's there's a church that bought that entire, I think they bought it, but I think it was more of a donation, and we've already coordinated with them. It doesn't impact any of their facilities either.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. I really appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you at our next meeting.
Look forward to being there.
So we'll move on to item number 7, coastal resiliency overlay. And Rob, are you doing that?
Yes, I could just provide a very quick update. The Coastal Resilience Overlay and the Fill Ordinance both went to Natural Resources Committee meeting earlier this month, I believe August 11th. I'm trying to remember the second Monday of August.
Right.
And then both of those received first reading from County Council on Monday this week. So they are moving forward, in adoption.
It's close vote.
Yes, the Coastal Resilience was a 6-5 vote at County Council for first reading. So,
But the other was good.
yeah, the other one was unanimous. So,
Are there any changes from when we had originally approved it to now? If there are, can you
yes.
tell me a little bit about what those changes might be?
Yes, the coastal resilience, and a lot of this, we looked at it very carefully, and during the formulation, I would say the 2 years that our sea level rise task force met, we went back and forth trying to figure out whether to go with an elevation or to reference the FEMA flood maps. And so the coastal resilience actually kind of transformed into referring to a specific district on the FEMA flood maps, and that is called Zone X shaded, and it represents the area that is considered the 500-year floodplain. And those are located, so you have your special flood hazard area. Those are the areas where you have to build to base flood elevation and where you're required to get FEMA insurance. But the next district outside of that is the Zone X shaded. And so we see that as an area where property owners may have a false sense of security that that there's no flood risk when there actually is, and it's been documented through the FEMA, studies. And then with sea level rise, that risk is expected to increase in the future. And so that is what the Coastal Resilience Overlay District is aimed at, is providing disclosure for people who are buying in that area, because normally it's one thing if you're in a special flood hazard area, you have to get FEMA insurance, but outside that area, and the basic message we want to get across is that there likely is flood insurance available. It's not like you're outside the flood plain, you don't have to get flood insurance, and to alert homeowners to that option. So that's, those modifications were made to that district. The original proposal was everything 10 feet and lower in elevation, where now this is that Zone X shaded. This is the specific areas defined on the FEMA map. And it's really hard to say. That corresponds roughly to between base flood elevation and about 14 or 15 feet. But it varies based on the FEMA map.
Okay, so basically you've defaulted to the FEMA
Yes,
maps as opposed to a elevation.
Yes, and we believe that is a much stronger defensible position because it has the federal studies that went into mapping those areas.
Well, and I guess it would also say that any modifications that FEMA makes to those maps would automatically be incorporated into.
Yes.
Okay.
And we would hope that they get updated more frequently than they have in the past.
Every 20 years or.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also the insurance industry has been involved, which I think is important because, not directly with you, but in terms of the maps, they have been there and they really understand the situation.
Any questions for Rob?
Just a comment that said Pappas. The Planning Commission, when they heard this, approved it going forward to the Natural Resources Committee. And there was a provision there, a concern there that we passed on. I don't know how it came out, but the concern was not to disadvantage the homeowner by having one of these awareness documents signed at the closing time and then incorporated in the closing documents such that when the property was at some point assessed for flood insurance, that notice would indicate there's a problem and potentially having that property owner having to get flood insurance when that was not the intent nor the need. Rob, did that issue go forward, or do you want to explain how it then transpired?
We basically addressed that by saying that it would be required prior to closing. And most likely the time when it would be appropriate would be when the state real estate disclosure form is submitted, and that's when somebody enters into a contract on a property. Mm-hmm. But we, rather than saying at closing, we said prior to closing.
Yeah, this was a big point with the real estate people who felt that their customers would be disadvantaged if presented with that document at closing. And so we studied it and found out they need to do that.
So I guess the city, and I'm not sure the town, have moved forward earlier. Does this have an effect on where the city or the other municipalities stand right now?
I don't think the city's adopted it.
And I probably, Jerry or Van could speak. I believe the town gave first reading and then they were waiting to see what the county was doing. And we've been in contact with their staff about where we are.
Only the city.
Yeah, that's correct. And we were looking to take them back up in October.
Okay, what about the city?
I don't think the city has.
Well, the city adopted fill restrictions as part of their floodplain ordinance.
Correct.
And I'm not aware of the coastal resilience overlay.
Okay. Stephen, I guess it's not still on, so I'll take that question back to the city to see where we might stand with any of that. I think where
Stephen's son.
Mark, ask that again. I'm sorry. I took another phone call while I was trying to do two things at once.
I'm sorry. Basically, there's been modifications to the documents that we had earlier moved forward, and I was just wondering where the city might stand with the current document.
Well, I candidly haven't been paying much attention to how it's worked through the county process. The city did pass the fill ordinance 4 or 5 months ago, maybe, as a part of our FEMA coastal resiliency package. So that's done from a city standpoint. I think we were waiting.
And I'm looking at your text, and I'm not sure. I don't think it would. Probably, I mean.
Sorry about
An interloper.
No worries. But we were waiting, I think, for the county to take the lead on the disclosure process and for that to get passed before we were going to bring it up for consideration.
Okay, so, yeah, I understand that's been moving through the process. Something I guess we could take another look at.
Okay.
Yeah, and happy to see county pass it on first reading. So appreciative to Alice for putting it on Natural Resources Committee and getting it rolling. But we're kind of standing by waiting to see how it's gonna shake out, to be perfectly candid.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Rob? Okay, seeing none, thank you, Rob. We'll move on. As I said earlier, we do not have a quorum, so I would like to just ask if anybody has a particular discussion item that they would like to move forward. We could do that. And request anybody that would like to move a question forward. Hearing none. We'll go past our prioritization list and go to roundtable comments.
I have none.
I just want to, while we're all in the room, I want to express my appreciation to the county staff, Eric Greenway specifically, for opening up the Charles Lynn Brown Green Street Gym. This Saturday, there's going to be from, I think, 10 to 1, kind of a community open house with games and activities, and the pool's going to be free for the day. So it's exciting to see kind of a coalition with that committee that's been formed. It's got Mitch Mitchell, who's the city representative. I think York Lovers, the county's council representative, Eric, sitting on that task force, and then a number of community members that are helping to provide greater access for the neighborhood, which I think is just a really great thing to help get some of our kids off the streets and give them a safe place to play and to be together. So thank you to the county for your leadership on that.
Thank you, Stephen. And if you have the opportunity to join us at our next task force for Ladies Island, I'd appreciate it. Might be worthwhile. So any other roundtable comments? Steve, go ahead.
I'll just add that the military installation, the mirror study, is proceeding along at a very good, brisk pace. And data gathering is now fit. That was the really time-consuming part. But in the citizen part, there's been one group of stakeholder involvement that went quite well, and there was a very, not really unanimous, but kind of consensus view that these improvements are needed. And the outcome is going to be actual recommendations for improvements and hopefully identifying feasible funding sources.
Yeah, it might be good to have them give a presentation to us sometime in the near future.
Yeah.
About
Yes.
where they are with it, maybe before they get to conclusions at least.
Yeah.
Or around then.
Yeah, I think they would like to, and I think they just didn't want to, come every time because it gets kind of same old. But
Right.
I'll bring it to them to and then get back to you all about whether it be the September meeting or October, I guess, either one.
Yeah, I think kind of leaving it up to them to get to a point
When it's
where they feel like
inappropriate.
they're getting to a conclusion on the elements that they're putting together.
Well, the actual project won't be completed till 2022.
Right.
But they will have. They are getting to the point now where there's some actual, there's trends and where they see things going as compared to about a month ago.
Good. Thank you. Any other comments?
I'd just like to add that we are in the process of finalizing the edits to the comprehensive plan. We had quite a bit of public input between last April and today, and So we've incorporated all those changes and working with the consultant to get a revised draft. And it is going to our planning commission, which will be meeting on September 9th. So our planning commission will be reviewing the document, and hopefully, it'll move forward to natural resources and county council. But it's been a challenge with the COVID, but I think we were able to kind of really get a lot of public input, in creative ways. And then when things started opening up, we were able to go back out in the communities, and we got a lot of good input from the public.
I'd just like to compliment the planning department. They did a great job in having some public meetings that were very well attended, and I think they got some really good input here at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you reopened it up to those public meetings. I think that was good. The draft plan that I looked at looked pretty good, pretty comprehensive. Now, are you going to bring that only to the county planning commission, or are you going to bring that back to MPC?
That's something we didn't discuss. We could, as a courtesy, bring that forward to the September MPC meeting, because it would definitely affects the city and coordination.
Well, I think in particular growth boundaries, those discussions, I believe that at some point in time there was going to be some presentation discussion, if you will, to the MPC about those growth boundary intersections and what kind of decisions were being made through by the county and the different municipalities. I think that'd be important for us to hear.
Are the growth boundaries discussed in the comp plan?
Yes. Yeah, and we're, the future land use map shows the growth boundaries, and it shows them. We adopted the modified Ladies Island, as part of our comprehensive plan, understanding that that's something that we'll work through with the Northern Implementation Committee in conjunction with the city and the town of Port Royal.
Okay.
Speaking of growth boundaries, I have a concern on my end of the county where our neighbor, Yamasee, continues to annex into Beaufort County. And their annexation process is, I really don't understand it, because they're annexing properties that they have no means of providing services for. And so the latest annexations that they have done, now they're contracting with Beaufort County to provide the services. For example, they annex into Motley and another plantation up here on my end. And then they're contracting with Sheldon Fire District to actually provide fire services. So I don't know where they're headed with this, where they're going to stop, or when they're going to stop. But certainly, I think this should concern all of us in Beaufort County. And I know we have had discussions about each municipality's defining their growth boundaries. But at some point, Yamasee has got to stop, and I don't know how we deal with that. So it's an ongoing problem that we have over here.
Yeah,
Gerald, I share your concern. I think, the municipalities in the lower part of northern Beaufort County, Port Royal, and the city went through the Northern Regional Plan, which I understand was a fairly controversial process 15 or so years ago.
It was.
I think we learned a lot.
We had
about
good breakfasts.
how we ought to sort of tighten up and be more urban centric, at the same time really protecting the rural green belt around us. And so all this work that we've done is sort of for naught if our neighbors to the north are going to move down into those rural areas that we're diligently trying to protect. I do think the Northern Regional Implementation Committee is probably the venue for us to bring all the parties to the table to have a conversation about long-term growth in urban boundaries. And so I'd maybe suggest in the coming months we ask our partners from Yamasee purposefully and intentionally to come to the table, and let's talk about that, because I agree. I think we got to have a powwow about that sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I agree with you. So, Mr. Chairman, if by chance you could put that on the agenda and see if we can bring that forward at some point.
Absolutely. I think that's a great idea. I guess the other thing I might ask to consider, Rob, is maybe we could have a presentation and roundtable discussion about growth boundaries with the municipalities and the county, since the comprehensive plans are now at a point where they're pretty well set, or you have that direction. I think it would be great if we could all understand where the growth boundaries are, and if there's a conflict, put it on the table. Invite Yemassee to that meeting as well, but maybe start out at least with the county and the municipalities and their discussion, and then get input from Yemassee. I don't know if they are doing a comprehensive plan that shows that now.
Actually, they're just starting.
LCOG is doing it for them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. We sat down with Yemassee. They have a new clerk who's been working there for the last couple of years,
Yeah.
Matthew Garnes, who's very interested in regional cooperation. And so we did sit down and talk about kind of what their vision is for the Sheldon area. We have kind of a general map of that area and some ideas, but we recognize that, I think that working with this committee and then also being active participants in the town's comprehensive plan, whatever way possible, would be the way to address this.
Well, if we could possibly, I mean, it's really timely right now. If we could have that kind of a work session for our next meeting, I think that would be great.
While we're talking about growth boundaries, I think from the city standpoint, we're satisfied with the Northern Regional Agreement that was made years ago, with the exception of the deal that was made with the approval of the Ladies Island Plan. And just as a reminder, the conceding of the growth boundaries on Southern Ladies Island and Northern Ladies Island was based on the deal of the county approving the sewer septic density, which we have done, the fill ordinance, and the coastal resiliency overlay, the disclosures. All three of those things would need to be approved before we're going to entertain a conversation about conceding those growth boundaries.
So it sounds like there needs to be some discussions between the city and the county to make sure that we can get to the table next month to have that open workshop.
Well, yeah, and we may have 2 additional council meetings before then and a better idea where this is going. It's really hard to.
But, I mean, we can't control the vote if it's not passed, and that needs to be part of the consideration. If it's not passed, it was a 6-5 vote. We got 2 more bites at the apple, so that should be part of the discussion too.
I think that's fine, even if it's in progress.
Right.
I think, and quite frankly, what comes out of NERPIC from that discussion may be helpful in going to the county and putting those thoughts on the table. So let's go ahead and if we can, plan to have that workshop / presentation and include Yemassee with it at the same time. And maybe that's really what we dedicate the next meeting to more than anything else.
You'd probably get more people if there was a specific thing that needed.
I think everybody's probably interested in this. So.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Rob, have you been talking to Stephanie or Melina at LCOG about the comprehensive plan for Yemassee?
No, we've been just dealing with Matt Garnes. It sounds like they're still in the process of finalizing, procuring a.
Yeah, I mean, because Matt really doesn't, he's not a planner. He was a fireman, I think. And,
Yeah.
he's a bright young guy, but
Yeah.
he's never really been involved in developing a comprehensive plan.
Okay.
I'll mention to them too when I'm.
Yeah, we would like, as much as we're neighbors, we'd like to be able to participate.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so that'll go on the agenda for next month. And again, I think in my mind, it would be good to start with the presentation, get everybody on the same page, and then go into a workshop discussion after that.
Okay.
Okay? Any other?
And Yemassee is supposed to be a member of this committee.
Yeah.
They are. They
I
are.
mean, it's not like,
Right, we're not.
No, they've been here prior to the last couple of months
Yeah, I
where we
remember
just didn't
seeing
get
that, yeah.
participation from anybody. They had been to the meeting, so.
and I mean, they can always come via,
Correct.
what are you using, Zoom or whatever?
Any other roundtable discussions?
I think the last thing I'd put on the table, the South Coast Cyber Center. As you know, we received a $1.3 million grant from the Department of Defense several months ago. As a part of that grant, we are doing a very deep strategic planning exercise. So we've contracted with Simon Everett, which is a consultant that is also handling the state's cybersecurity and cyber defense plan. They have just released a survey. It's primarily the state's cybersecurity survey, but if you go through the survey, it'll ask you what county you're located in. If you click Beaufort, then that will open up a subset of questions that's specific to Beaufort cybersecurity analysis. And I'd like to, Alice serves as secretary of the cybersecurity. I serve as vice chair. If it's appropriate, I'd like to send it out to this group. And if you wouldn't mind this group taking the survey and then sending it out to anybody that you think is appropriate, because we really are trying to get a broad feedback from folks about where we're headed on cybersecurity. Additionally, as you know, Beaufort County School District, with city support, received a grant, $12.8 million for both med tech and cybersecurity network programming. The medical stuff's going to go in the Ladies Island cluster, and really excited about the cybersecurity network programming, computer programming is going to go in the Whale Branch cluster. There's a year of planning before curriculum starts being released. And we hope that by the end of this year, we'll have the strategic plan from Cyber and Everett that will also dovetail with the state's cybersecurity plan. So appreciate you taking the time to provide your feedback through that survey, because that will become the roadmap for the South Coast Cyber Center and our partners once it's released.
Okay, good. That's great. And I don't know what building you're sitting in, Stephen, but it definitely doesn't meet the height regulations for the city of Beaufort, I'll tell you that.
I'm at the Port Royal Port, the new.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
But I want to be where Gerald Dawson is. That looks very peaceful there, Mr. Dawson.
Yeah, like his backyard.
Yeah. Any other roundtable comments? Ask for oh yeah, go ahead.
This is Stephanie Rossing with the Low Country Council of Governments. I just wanted to make a little plug as you were talking about some of the other projects going on in the area. We are updating the long-range transportation plan, and some of you may have already received an onslaught of emails from me regarding stakeholder meetings and public workshops we have coming up. But I did want to just make a plug. We have a public workshop that's coming up on September 8th. From 5 to 7 at TCL at the New River campus. We will also have a virtual option for that, but your input's important, and if there's anybody or any group distribution groups you have that you can help me try to get the word out, I'd greatly appreciate that. But this is the LATS long-range transportation plan, so the urban area, as well as the COGS rural area. So we'll be doing plans for both of those. That's that 20-year long-range transportation plan. And any federal dollars that would be coming into our region for transportation projects need to be identified in those plans. So that's why it's important to us to all pay attention and make sure we're getting our input on those. We'll also be doing a survey too, but that's more to come on that. Thank you,
Stephanie. If you wouldn't mind, could you get me on your email list, Stephanie?
Sure, I can do that. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Any other questions for Stephanie? Any other comments? Roundtable. Okay, with that, I guess since we don't have a quorum, we can go ahead and adjourn. Thank you all for participating. I really appreciate it, and hopefully we'll get a lot more next month. I think we will.
Have a good day, everybody.
Have a good weekend.
Thanks.